Alberta Primetime with Michael Higgins.
Welcome to Alberta Primetime. Ahead tonight, our Friday panel on the rollout of new Alberta license plates. But first, voter engagement.
Frankly, I don't blame them for being distracted from this election.
My call to action for Calgarians is to get involved.
Candidate reaction to a drop in advance voting numbers ahead of Monday's municipal election. And while polling shows a tight race for mayor in Calgary, 34% of voters are undecided with just days to go. And joining us now, Calgary mayoral candidate and entrepreneur, Sarah Elder. Ms. Elder, good to see you. Welcome back.
Thanks for having me, Michael.
All right, let's maybe first touch on some of those concerns over voter engagement we just heard about. Calgarians not showing a lot of interest in this election. How worrisome is that for you as a candidate?
It's a huge concern that people aren't engaged in the election, either in advance voting or in what will happen on election day, Monday. I can't emphasize this enough. It really matters that Calgarians show up. Actually, all Albertans show up to the polls on Monday and have your say at the ballot box. We're at a really critical inflection point in terms of direction at the municipal level in Calgary and across the province. And so if you have feelings about the direction of our city, about our province, this is when you need to make your voice heard, and you need to put yourself in that ballot box on Monday.
You were late, somewhat late entry into this election race. What motivated making this run for the mayor's chair?
So I had been involved in another campaign and unfortunately made the really difficult decision to leave. And when faced with the decision of thinking about who I would be voting for on October 20th, or actually I personally voted in the advance polls, but who I would be putting that X next to, I didn't necessarily see the ideas and the platforms being put forward that I felt excited and compelled about. And so I decided to put my name into the race for the first time ever as a candidate, and really run on the ideas and the perspective that I have of what can be done to build a really resilient Calgary for kids, for families, for the economy, for communities, and leadership at City Hall.
On that ideas, policies, platforms front, many of the mayoral candidates are promising to repeal blanket rezoning. What perspective do you bring to that debate?
This is definitely, a hot topic on the doors, something that I've been hearing from Calgarians as well. So my approach to blanket rezoning is that we do need to take another look at it. And so the way I'm sharing my perspective on it with Calgarians is that it should be a patchwork quilt and not a blanket. So we absolutely do need more housing, but it needs to be in the right places. So if you're in Calgary, you're probably familiar with the Westbrook C train station. That area specifically, or places like that, are calling out for density. It has been undeveloped land exactly adjacent to a C train station, beside a public library, beside a shopping mall, beside a main roadway in Calgary, and it's just been left to fester. So bringing communities along, bringing neighbors along, engaging people in what their communities look like is really, really important. And unfortunately, the approach taken by the current council and mayor is one that really alienated a lot of Calgarians. And so we need to take a look at it and do better.
There's been a lot of focus as well this election on public safety. What's your message on that same doorstep to alleviate voter concerns on that issue?
So the approach that I want Calgarians to understand that I'm taking in this election is that safety is absolutely important and something that we need to address, but the how and is really critical. And so if you go to my platform on sarahelder.ca and go to the platform page and look under resilient kids and families, you'll see that my approach from the start is really different. And so I want to address issues, all issues actually, through a lens of, is it safe for kids? Because I think if we take a step back and look at it through the lens of this, the youngest and the smallest people in our communities, it could actually radically transform the way we address things like safety. And so other things that I'm putting forward in my platform, like the return of a citywide block watch program, the way that I've seen our cities and communities go is actually away from caring for one another. And so my approach is fundamentally centered on caring more about each other. It shouldn't have to be, that I only care about my kids. I care about my neighbors' kids. I care about kids in communities across the city. And so I want us to take a step back, take a deep breath, and say, you know what, I actually do care a lot about my neighbors and about, how fast people drive on streets in communities, including mine and others. And I think if we start there, we can tackle those big issues like policing and the 20% of the Calgary police force that are currently on leave, as well as doing things that are really critical to improving safety for the smallest to the, from 0 to 99 in Calgary.
Okay. We've asked many of the other candidates about navigating the next round of relations between Calgary City Council and the provincial government. What's different about the approach you would take to dealings with Premier Danielle Smith and members of her cabinet?
Well, I mean, for anyone who had the opportunity to hear me speak on Alberta Primetime, I might be biased, but my favorite current affairs show here in Alberta, you will be familiar with my approach in that I think, I both praise and offer criticism in a very equitable way. And so it's not about who's making the pitch as a person. It's about the party and how it actually impacts people. And so my relationship would be no matter who is in power, whether it's provincially or federally, I have relationships with people in every single party, and I will absolutely work with no matter who is in power to deliver results for Calgarians. It's not dependent on one relationship with one team, and that relationship would disappear if voters happen to, make a decision that put them on the other side of the legislature or the House of Commons. I will work with absolutely any government, any politician from any party.
All right. We'll have to leave it there for time. As always, appreciate your time. Thank you, Ms. Elder.
Thanks, Michael.
That's Calgary mayoral candidate Sarah Elder.